Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to Mr. Man Plays Raid. We are literally 3 days away from grabbing one free legendary and one legendary relic. The thing is that I've seen a very interesting video on YouTube by one of our fellow Godfather creators for Raid, Boozer. And I want to watch this video with you because he has some really interesting takes on how Plarium is changing the direction on how they are listening to the community and how they're taking action for this. And I think you will be very interested in this. So I've asked for some permission for Boozer to react to his video. Let's do it to 1 × 25 so it's not too slow, because obviously I'm going to give you my opinion about some stuff as well. And let's jump straight into the video and watch this stuff as well. Matter of fact, now that we're talking about champions, you can get yourself Corrado and Supreme Gaelic, 2 free legendaries if you download the game using my link below. To get Supreme Gaelic, you need to put in the code Supreme6 in the first 72 hours in your promo codes menu. And then Uugo. Nice, no? 2 free legendaries, 1 S tier epic. Let's go.
What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're gonna go.
Might as well just move my camera just a tad bit higher so you can see Boozer as well. So Boozer is one of the Godfather content creators of Raid Shadow Legends. He's been in the community since forever, like seriously. Probably you know him more than you know me. Let's have a look at what he has to say, because that's really interesting.
Go over something that has not happened in Raid before, and we're
It's about, he said we're going to go get over about something that has never happened in Raid before. Pay attention.
going to go over why this is important and how this can actually help us in future events. Now, it's a bit speculative on my part, but I think there's sound reasoning in my speculation. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, guys. So first things first, I want to bring your attention here to our
Check this out. This is our latest
fusion calendar. The fusion just
latest fusion calendar. We had this just before we got Udex Artor.
ended about a day or two ago.
Well, I mean, we didn't really get Udex yet. We still need to log in for a couple of days, but check this out. Check how interesting this is.
But if you have a quick look at this fusion calendar, you can notice a couple things I want to make sure you guys notice here. There is 1 summon rush and 1 hero's path. Now, the thing that
1 summon rush and 1 hero's path. This means that this fusion took not as much resources, especially when it comes to champion summoning. You know, this a very big incentive in this game to summon champions and to pay a lot of money on your shards, ancient shards, void shards, primal shards, whatever. Check this out.
that has happened in this fusion that has probably never happened before in any other previous fusion is that this fusion for Lysanthier could have been done completely with no shard spending at all. No summon at all. So
no summons at all. So this is probably the first, I think he's gonna say it, but imagine you are able to do a fusion champion, a fusion summon in Raid with no summons at all, only by spending resources in farming dungeons, you know, upgrading your resources, upgrading your items, upgrading your artifacts and whatnot.
it's actually kind of crazy that this fusion could have been had completely without pulling a single champion. So
yeah.
Let me explain. First, the summon rush. The summon rush in this calendar could have been skipped, and then you would have to prioritize all of your efforts into the hero's path at the end of the fusion. Now, the hero's path...
There was a summon rush, but as he said, it couldn't been skipped. I haven't done the math on this, and I skipped, unfortunately, Lysanthier because I've been in a holiday when this fusion was up, so we don't really have it. But usually, whenever they pull out a new fusion champ, content creators do the math, they share the videos, they're telling you, hey, wait a bit, wait a couple of days, do this, do that, you know, this is how much resources you need to spend to get this fusion champ. They give you like whatever you need for you to understand if you are able to get this fusion champion or not.
Gives you an extra 50 fragments. That gives you basically free reign to skip 2 events. This is possible because each one of the events are worth 25 fragments. Now in the hero's path, there's 100 fragments up for grabs. So in this scenario, if you skip the first summon rush, that means you wouldn't have to spend any shards, and then focus on the hero's path at the end, which was a summon rush component and a dungeon diving component. You could have just spent energy to get 75 fragments and then called it a day, and then this fusion would have been yours. Now I want to bring your attention to
Did you hear what he said? Sorry, I need
If you
to
skip the
rewind.
first summon rush, that means you wouldn't have to spend any shards. And
No
then focus
summoning.
on the hero's path at the end, which was a summon rush component and a dungeon diving component. You could
Which
have
exactly
just
what I
spent
said.
energy to get 75 fragments.
You farmed the
and call it a
dungeon.
day, and then this fusion would have been yours. Now I want to bring
Nice.
your attention to the hero's path event here. Now it was pretty complicated, probably the most complicated hero's path there was in terms of how much you could actually save by just being a little bit more careful in your pathing. But basically, to get 75 fragments, it would have cost you about 40,000 points. Now that breaks down into an energy conversion of about 22,000 energy, which means about...
This was the hero path for Lysanthier, right? This would have gave you a few more shards to do the epic fusions for the final legendary
It was
fusion.
pretty complicated, probably the most
this
complicated
out.
hero's path there was in terms of how much you could actually save by just
Excuse me.
being a little bit more careful in your pathing. But basically, to get 75 fragments, it would have cost you about 40,000 points. Now that breaks down into an energy conversion.
So 75 fragments would be 40,000 points in this hero path.
Of about 22,000 energy, which means about 66 or 6,700 gems in terms of energy spend in the dungeons. Now, if you
6,700. So quite a few gems on energy. But imagine this energy also comes for free from daily logins and other events.
put it all together, spending 6,600 gems or 22,000 energy to basically complete the entire fusion without spending any shards at all. If you broke that down into total shard spending, for simplicity's sake, I use 6,700 gems. 6,700 gems. If you were to buy all ancient shards from the gem shop with 6,700 gems, 900 gems a pop, that's only going to cost you 82 ancient shards. Now, if you wanted to spin it that way, 82 ancient shards for a fusion to complete is actually super, super cheap because you're effectively getting, you know, a ton of fragments. You're getting 75 and you get to skip one summon event. So you're basically getting 100 fragments for 81.
You're getting 75 shards to skip one event, right? To do one fusion, to do one of the fusion needed for the legendary champion. But also keep in mind that you're also summoning champions, which means you're also double dipping into, obviously, a chance to get another legendary or other amazing epics that might be helping you in your team building for different areas of the game.
Ancient shards, which is an insane deal. So why is this relevant? Why am I talking about this? Why is this relevant? So first of all, we can all agree that Lysanthier here was basically one of the least hyped about fusions of all time, pretty much. I mean, we have a whopping...
What's that? 8% are going for the fusion from his community, 77% are skipping, and 15% are undecided. Yes, these stats are definitely not looking well, but this fusion summon was super cheap and super easy to do.
8% of people saying yes, they are going for it after 4.5K votes. We have an overwhelming 77% of people saying no, and then 15% are undecided. So I would say of those undecided people, maybe half of them ended up going for it and maybe not. So I would say about 10% of people actually went for Lysanthier. So we can conclude that he is probably not very highly sought after. Therefore, participation is probably on an all-time low. Now,
I guess so, yeah.
We've always suspected that Plarium heavily monitors their analytics and basically adjusts events on the fly. Basically,
this is not just we don't just suspect that Plarium is heavily tracking their analytics. Plarium, it's heavily tracking their analytics. This is not a question mark. This is definitely what they do because they're always having these offers coming into market. They're always having this changes, they adjust sometimes. So you see whenever we do have hero paths, sometimes they're easier, sometimes they're harder, sometimes they're more complicated to see which ones convert better for the community.
Catering to the players, right? In this case, in my opinion, it feels like this is very obvious proof that Plarium actually definitely takes into consideration these analytics on a very near-term outlook. I would say within a couple of days. Within a couple of days of the fusion starting, they probably knew already how much participation people were probably, going for this champion.
I believe so as well.
They had to adjust some of their later events on the fly because the first week of the events are basically set. So after the first few days of the fusion, they probably had to adjust week 2's events to basically achieve what they want to achieve, right? So if they wanted us to spend some shards before, this anniversary community event happened, then they would have to, dial up some of the...
That would be before the community event, which is the next champion we are actually logging in for now with the community events and everything going. I'm clicking the wrong buttons. This would be our Udex. And obviously the community events. I'm clicking the wrong buttons again. Obviously the community week Titan event that gives us a couple of resources and the split soul for Arthur.
The some of the later events to make them more enticing, right? So in this case, Lysanthier, I would highly assume that they probably heavily adjusted the hero's path to make it more player friendly and also more enticing for people to actually go for. Overall, this hero's path is a ridiculously, cheap compared to other fusion events, other fusions, other heroes paths. It doesn't matter how you really slice it, right?
I agree with
the fact
that.
that they gave us bonus points.
I agree with that. We had Lady Noel and Sir Nicholas at Christmas, and it was super, super expensive. Like, I tried to do them both, and I did do them both, but I ended up spending a couple of dollars here and there just to complete it.
Points or bonus value for the ancient shards also was extra juicy as well. There was a lot of good reason to go for this. Now, I'm not sure if this is actually a thing that just recently happened or is recently happening, but it's something that I definitely noticed, and it's very noticeable. As for the difficulty scaling of this fusion, Lysanthier had 2 summon rushes, no champion chase. This has happened in the past before. We can view this from the Great Hoof Luraka fusion. They did have 2 summon rushes here, and this...
Let's have a look at this. When did this happen? June 8th, June 26th. I wasn't playing Raid when this happened, so we only joined Raid 6 months ago. Let's have a look at what he has to say.
This fusion, I remember, was very unpopular as well. The cost of this was actually quite high as well, so there was no adjustment back in the day, almost 2 years ago, for the Great Hoof.
This one happened 2 years ago, and it was also super expensive, but by what he says. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have been playing for such a long time, if you guys actually went for Great Hoof or you skipped it, and also confirm that what Boozer's saying is correct, because obviously I only joined Raid 6 months ago, and yeah, I don't really have all the details for this.
So I think this maybe quicker turnaround on event decision making may be a result of Plarium being moved on from Aristocrat to MTG Media Group. Maybe Plarium has more agency in what they want to do in adjusting events on the fly. I would say...
Yeah, for those who have skipped or who didn't really know about this, Plarium has actually just got bought by a different company. And this different company is putting more emphasis on their players from what I saw from their history and their reviews. So probably from now on, maybe as Boozer says, maybe Plarium is actually... how can I put this? Is actually taking a bigger responsibility on listening to what people want and actually giving us exactly what we want.
A
Which
couple
is
day turnaround
thumbs
on
up.
analytics and adjusting events
Seriously.
is pretty much on the fly. So how does this translate into something that we can use to our advantage? So personally, again, we would refer back to this fusion structure. And again, just like most fusions, we are basically given 2 weeks of events after the first day. So we already know the full fusion after the first day or so. We get the fusion plan and all that. So they can't really adjust the timing, but they can adjust the value. So I would say after the first couple days or the first week, you can reassess and basically fine-tune any kind of events in the back half of the fusion. So I think that's probably what Plarium would do. So as a player, we would probably need to be extra cautious in the first week. Assuming it's a fusion that maybe doesn't have too much fanfare, maybe it's showing that it's excessively difficult.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So basically, whenever we got a fusion, content creators do the math. They think, hey, let's see how much does it take to get this fusion, how many resources, and they make their own videos and let the community know exactly, hey, we have this new champion, whatever. We're talking about Lysanthier here. We have Lysanthier. Lysanthier is going to cost this much. Let's wait a couple of days to finish our calculations, and then I'm going to put it up for you guys, and then you think about it. You can afford it, you cannot afford it, you're going for it, you're not going to go for it, depending on obviously how strong the champion is as well, because that's very important too.
In the beginning, maybe the back half of events, they'll lighten it up. This means that if there's an option to maybe skip an event in the first week, it might be worthwhile because something could change in the second week. Of course, this is all going to completely depend on the structure of the fusion in general. In this case, we actually had a pretty unique structure, opening with the Summon Rush and then Hero's Path to end it all. So it maybe just worked out this one time, but it's something to consider, right? Because these are things that are noticeable. The noticeable cheap Hero's Path, and then the fact that this fusion
let's do it again,
done without using any shards at all. I hope this can...
I hope... Oh, I think he's gonna say it.
Continues. I hope this trend...
Yes, I hope this continues. Seriously, this is really good news. I really want to try to do more fusions like this because unfortunately I didn't really get to get this champion and it's a miss for me. But in the future, if they bring more champions like this, like, oh my god, I really want to try getting them because it's obviously cheaper and I'm ending up with obviously more money in my pocket, and then also I'm getting to play new champions, have new champions, and try different strategies and team building, right? Get more champions into my collection as well.
Trend continues because this fusion, I think most fusions, we can agree, they should offer some kind of flexibility outside of just spending shards. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's a coincidence that the hero's path was excessively
I agree with that
on
too.
the cheaper side, even allowing for the fusion to be done without spending any shards. But I find that that coincidence paired up with a fusion that is very unpopular, I find that coincidence not very likely, and I think it's a deliberate effort from Plarium to adjust events on the fly based on the popularity of the fusion.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Of the fusion, which is really interesting to me. So that means they have the capability to do that, and we might see that in future events as well. So the real question is, how can we take advantage?
Please, Plarium gods, give us events like this as well. Not events, give us fusion champions that have events like this as well, because we loved it, or at least just by watching this video, I am pretty sure, and I can reassure you with my hand on heart, that community loved it.
Ultimately what I wanted to bring attention to, but I think basically we tread lightly in the first week, and then we look out for any opportunities for maybe some cost savings in the second week of fusions.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to totally depend on the fusion, and we don't know.
It's always about cost savings when you do this. Not everybody can afford to spend like $100 on every fusion, so obviously we just want to do it as probably as reliable as possible, and obviously as cheap as possible, right? If possible, for free, and get a legendary champion.
It goes the opposite way as well. If we get Armans or Fabian level fusions, maybe they jack up the price on later events to make it more difficult. Anyways, guys, just thought it would be interesting and thought you guys would like to know, so I bring it top of mind for you guys. Maybe we can brainstorm some ideas on how to use this to our advantage as well. That's gonna be it, folks. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Do you guys think I'm out to lunch on all this, or do you guys think I have some proper sound reasoning for my suggestions here?
Nice one, Boozer. Very nice video. I like this a lot, and this take is spot on. Give this guy a follow. Probably you know him better than you know me. If you didn't, give this guy a follow. This video is thumbs up. This being said, guys, I really hope the next fusion champion, or at least not all of them, but at least some of them, are as easy as this. And besides that, there is a new fusion champion that has been revealed, and I made a video about it. Go watch it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.